cluster of exemplary leadership practices called Encourage the Heart is about recognizing accomplishments. It's important to recognize accomplishments because this helps people keep focused on the significance of their goal or the value of their work. When people remember that they are working towards something important, they are re-energized to continue their efforts and they feel pride or ownership. Also, we spend a large part of our lives at work, so the work environment and the people in it should be a source of some joy and satisfaction. At any given moment, the work itself isn't necessarily satisfying, so it's important periodically to assess and recognize when and where it is good. A leader recognizes accomplishments, large and small, by acknowledging a task well done as well as a mission accomplished. In public and environmental health, all the easy problems have already been solved. Our work is challenging and complex, and sometimes our successes take a long time or are invisible, like cases of measles prevented. So we must be intentional about acknowledging the accomplishment of benchmarks along the way. Both individual contributions and group accomplishments need to be recognized or celebrated.
I encourage the heart by making sure that I acknowledge individuals for their hard work. You know, whether that's saying that you're doing a good job, reminding them of what they've done from where they started from, you know, and celebrating with them. Because I might be the only person that's celebrating with them. So it's even when it's something minute, I submitted a grant. Oh, great, you submitted a grant. That's excellent, because that's that beginning step.
Cerise Hunt knew that a protege had just taken the first big step in a longer process, and that this step took a great deal of effort. She acknowledged the task as an individual contribution. Cerise's colleague did not yet get the grant, but she's now reinforced in the knowledge that the act of preparing and submitting a proposal is not trivial and is a necessary and important stepping stone to a new public or environmental health innovation. An organization, like a family, creates its own language and culture, and a leader can create a culture of recognition or appreciation in the organization. In this example, Jill Hunsaker-Ryan describes a method of recognition that was universally understood in her organization.
When I first became an employee at the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, we had a division director, and he had this program called the Golden Paperclip. And when a staff member did something well, even if it was small, he would write a little note and he would put the paperclip on the sheet of paper. And the thing was, the paperclip came to symbolize that you had done a good job. So here you have something that, you know, probably cost less than a penny, but became so symbolic to people that it was worth more, really, than a lot of other types of rewards. I mean, the Golden Paperclip or, you know, some sort of monetary gift certificate, people would value that paperclip more just because of what it meant. And so, you know, it doesn't take much to recognize people. You can give them small rewards and small tokens, and it just means so much. People love to be recognized for their work.
Jill's story also illustrates the fact that recognition needs to be authentic. It has to be real. Fake platitudes are usually worse than no recognition at all. A simple way to communicate that the appreciation is sincere is to be specific about the excellence that is being celebrated. Encouraging the heart may or may not involve balloons and cake. Like a golden paperclip, recognition can take whatever usual or unusual form makes sense to the people involved. Kathy Underhill describes an example of this, as well as the power of recognition to beget other positive outcomes.
This organization was incredibly good at celebrating successes. They were great at supervision, many strengths. But the story of Big Daddy specifically, every month we had a staff meeting, and at the end of every staff meeting, you would have a piece of paper and you would write a note, an anonymous note that was either a thank you or kind of a props to one of your coworkers. And it was anonymous, and they were all passed to the front. And the division manager would read every single note. And the person that had the most notes got Big Daddy for the month. And Big Daddy was an aloe vera plant, about like, this. And you would keep Big Daddy on your desk, and your job was to add something to him. You could paint something on the pot, stick something in the dirt, hang something off of one of the leaves. So you can imagine over time what this plant looked like. And our office was kind of a newsroom style, probably 50 desks out in the open. So he really stood out. So you were very aware of him at all times because he was such a character. And, this sounds so silly. I mean, when you talk about it, it sounds so silly. But whoever thought of that, to me, it was brilliant, and for a couple of reasons. One is that it was a constant stream of positive feedback. Things that you may have done during the course of the month that you didn't even know someone noticed that you did. You didn't even know that someone appreciated it. So you were getting this constant feedback, which then served as feed forward, because you would hear what other people's comments were, and then you would want to go and ask them about, tell me about how did you do that? Tell me about this experience. And so it created this positive dialogue. So in a workplace that, as I said, was pretty intense and high stress, instead of that feeding on itself and becoming a stressful workplace, this silly aloe vera plant created this culture of constant positive feedback and gratitude towards each other.
Kathy also describes how important it is to recognize people in the way they like to be recognized.
Encouraging the heart isn't about you, it's about the receiver. It's not about the sender, it's about the receiver. And so what can you learn about the folks that you're trying to encourage? What's going to resonate with them? On my staff right now, I have folks that are from different cultures, different socioeconomic backgrounds, different ethnicities, and very different personalities as well as gender. So they all have very different flavors, and it's definitely not one size fits all. It is. I have one staff member that if I publicly thanked her, that would be a punishment. It would be mortifying to her. So for her, it's more, I'll leave a note on her desk, or I'll send her an email that's just to her. So it can be, and it's creating this atmosphere that we're all in this together. We're all here to support each other. And so that really is about the receiver. What does each of those, different folks need?
Some benchmarks are truly significant and call for celebration. Milestone anniversaries, the passage of major policies, the awarding of grants, these things should be acknowledged by the community of people involved. Dr. Mark Johnson describes the unique set of celebrations that Jefferson County Public Health designed and experienced for their agency and their community to mark their 50th anniversary.
As we were coming up on our 50th anniversary, we realized we wanted to do something that would let the community know we had been there for 50 years, that we were celebrating as a department and as a community what we had been able to do. As a team, they came together and said, let's not just do one big gala event. Let's do 6 or 7, or they had a number of different things. Let's do things throughout the year that both involves our staff and communities, parts of the community, that will remind them of what public health is and that we are here, and get them involved in trying to help improve public health in Jefferson County as part of our celebrating that we've been here for 50 years. We had a health day sort of event at a school with children, elementary school, and we brought in a expert jump roping team to come in, and the kids just loved it. And we used that to help show them how you can be involved in physical exercise and using the skills that you have, that you don't need to be necessarily on a team or to be the best football player in the school. And again, gave out t-shirts and things like that, saying we were celebrating the 50th, and the kids loved it, the school loved it, commissioner again went to it and loved it. So we did things like that throughout the year, and then culminated in a real celebration for our staff, where we had a party for our staff at Dave & Buster's or something like that. But not just a party, we also said we want you to bring food, because we're going to collect food and money, and we're going to give it to the food banks that are here in Jefferson County. And we collected 650 pounds of food, and I don't remember how many dollars, something like that. But each of the events we tried to number one, make sure that staff and leadership were involved in planning it and owning it and making it as fun as they could and as important to public health as they could, so that we were giving back to the community as well as celebrating the fact that we were there. And each of the events was very well attended, was very well written up by the local newspapers, and I think we got way more out of it than we would have had, as a big gala at the end of the year saying we're celebrating 50 years. I know our staff were much more involved and really took ownership that this is our 50th anniversary.
Jefferson County Public Health celebrated in the ways that were meaningful to them and to the people that they serve. Their 50 years of service were duly acknowledged, the community renewed its appreciation for the agency and for public health, and the celebration re-energized and refocused the agency workers on their mission. Encouraging the heart can be so simple. Tell someone what they have done well, or remind them of the importance of their specific work. These recognitions reinforce good performance, increase confidence, and re-energize commitment. Encouraging the heart may take only a few seconds and no money at all, and yet the payoff can be profound.